Hello and welcome back to Mel the Bombshell. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you are wondering if GameStop is still a place that you can pick up some really good video game hardware deals. And to go ahead and answer that question, yes, GameStop is a place that you can find really good deals on consoles, accessories, and video games. However, I will say that these deals and rare finds do not happen very often. I have been in and out of a GameStop location around where I live multiple times without picking up anything. However, on my most recent trip to GameStop, I hit what I would consider a holy grail for a video game console and controller deal. On my most recent trip to GameStop, I was able to pick up the Star Wars Battlefront Darth Vader helmet special edition PlayStation 4 console with the 20th Anniversary DualShock4 controller. And in this video, we're going to unbox this together and look at the condition of these two items and talk about how good of a deal it was to get these two items for the combo console price at GameStop. For this Battlefront Darth Vader PlayStation 4 and 20th Anniversary DualShock 4 controller, I only had to pay around $130. That is mostly because they, along with those two coupon codes that I had for $15 off total, they also had a deal running where if you bought a pre-owned PlayStation 4 or Xbox One system, you got $20 off. So it took the price all the way down to about $135, including taxes, for this system and controller bundle. Which, if you were to Google either of these two items right now, you would see how insane of a deal that is. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dig into this box and check out these two really awesome pieces of PlayStation 4 hardware. Alright, let's go. Let's go ahead and cut open our plastic. As you can see, this is the tape from the person at GameStop. Whenever I purchased this, I was hoping to get that original box that came with the Battlefront PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, this is just the generic used console box that GameStop has for their PlayStation 4 systems. The only time that I've gotten lucky and actually gotten the original box from a console is whenever I purchased the Gears of War 4 Edition Xbox One S console. That did come with the original box. If you would like to see a look at that console and the box that I got from GameStop a little over a year ago, you can leave that in the comments below. And if I see a comment about it, I will probably make a video. But let's go ahead and cut this tape. Start at our sides, of course. Okay, let's peel that off. And as you see, as soon as I start lifting this cardboard, you see Darth Vader's beautiful helmet. Oh my gosh, look at the condition of the surface of this console. If we look closely, you'll see, hold on, let me move these cords out of the way. These are just the HDMI and charger cables that come with consoles. But if we look closely at the surface of this console, it is super clean, not even a scratch. Also, if we look at this, you can see that this is the 20th anniversary controller. We'll take a little bit of a closer look at this in a second, so I'm going to move it over to the side. And I'm going to pull out the Darth Vader console. Throw this box out of the way. And bam. We have our beautiful Darth Vader Battlefront PlayStation 4 console. Just for comparison, I do have this console already. It was actually the console I got for my first PlayStation 4. So I've got another one sitting right over here. This is my original PlayStation 4. This is the first PlayStation 4 I got. This was actually from the Disney Infinity 3.0, which was the Star Wars Disney Infinity game. That bundle, as soon as it released, I got it. It was my Christmas present, and this was my PlayStation 4 for many years. I actually used this as my PlayStation until I got a PlayStation 5. So this was my main console. And as you can see, whenever I first got it, I did not take as good care of it. On this side, this bottom plate especially, you can see a ton of scratch marks on that plastic. The reason for these scratch marks is, one, I was like 14 years old. consoles and special editions especially weren't that big of a deal to me yet. I didn't get into my collector mode until later on, so even though this was a collector's item, I did not take the care that I should have with the system. The main reason that it's so scratched up on this top surface is because whenever I would play a game, the way I had my console set up, I would just take the controller I was playing with, and here's the controller that came with it, and just set it on top. Which, as you can see, that constant scooting and sliding motion of the hard plastic of the controller on this has caused all of those scratch marks. And I do kind of pride myself on someone that takes care of consoles. This one is a bit of an exception. However, the console overall, especially the plugs and things, are still very clean, not too much dust buildup. But if we look and compare this other PlayStation 4, this is the one that I just purchased earlier this week, you will see that there are barely any to no scratches on the console at all. So here is a zoom in of the original with all of its scratches and such. And here is the comparison. You see the Star Wars word engravings on the background. Not nearly as many visible scratches as my original. If we look at the side edges of the new console as well, there's a slight scratch right here, slight little scuff, not too bad, just some smudges like normal. The bottom is super clean. This person may have vertically mounted their system instead of had it horizontal like I did, which would have kept some of the scratches from the top from happening. If we look down here, see a few scratches on the other side, and on the front, even around the USB ports, there are not a lot of scratches. If you'll notice on a lot of systems that you get, if you look at the USB ports and the rear plugins for HDMI or for power, you'll usually see some scratch marks around them. That is just because the person, or like myself, didn't look, like here's mine, wasn't looking where they were plugging, and they kind of just tried and wiggled around a little bit until they were able to get it plugged in. But it seems that the owner of this PlayStation 4 was very careful with their things and plugged it in once and didn't touch it. In this video, I'm not going to go to the trouble to plug this in and test it out. As you know, GameStop does test their consoles, and they usually will work for whoever buys it from GameStop. And if it doesn't, like if you buy a console from GameStop and it doesn't work, they do allow you to return that console within their return period, which is really great. However, if I were to plug this in right now and it didn't work, I'd probably still keep it, mostly because it is way cleaner than mine and it is a really nice collector's item and will only go up in price from here. Okay, so now that we've talked about the console, I'm going to set it to the side and we're going to look at the controller that came with this system. So rather than this console having the original Star Wars themed controller that came with the Battlefront system, it instead came with this 20th anniversary PlayStation controller. This controller is modeled after the original PlayStation 1 controller, which I'll give you a quick comparison of on a close-up. But instead of having the Star Wars controller that matches the Darth Vader and Star Wars aesthetic, like this, we see the PlayStation 20th Anniversary DualShock4 controller. If you look these controllers up alone, they go for around $90 or $70 plus, somewhere around in that range for the controller itself. I think new in box, they're a little over 100, like 125 or so. This one, of course, isn't new in box, but it is still in amazing condition. So I'm going to compare it to this Battlefront controller, which I did use a ton and even developed stick drift with a bit. So it's not by any means in new condition, but just my basic wear and tear. You see the touchpad wearing and a little bit of the thumbsticks. But if we look at this, I can tell you and I can feel that these thumbsticks are not very worn out. I bought some used DualShock 4 controllers that had the thumbsticks falling apart, the words on the back for the sticker worn all the way off, and just crud all over it. However, this controller seems very well taken care of, which you would assume that someone that would pick out this controller and this console probably does take care of their systems. This controller is super, super clean. So if you were to pay for a used controller, I wouldn't guarantee that it would be in this condition. I would definitely recommend that you look at the images and make sure. But this controller is absolutely gorgeous. It doesn't quite match the Darth Vader one. However, I love adding a new style of controller, and I would actually rather have gotten this with the console than an additional one that I already had. Just for another comparison, I've got two Sony PlayStation 1 controllers with the dual analog sticks that we are going to look at and compare with that 20th anniversary controller just to see how close Sony got with their designs. We're going to first look at the darker gray controller that the 20th anniversary one seems modeled more after. This is by no means in good condition. I got this used with a PlayStation 2 bundle. So this one may also have some nicotine stains on it because I did buy it used. So there is a little bit of yellowing. But if we look, they did closely match that gray color. Like I said, this one's probably the older one. It's probably got a lot of discoloration to it. They did match that. They also put that classic PlayStation logo with all of the color on there. And the buttons are super close. Now on the DualShock 4, they are a little bit more black, where the top buttons, your trigger R1 and R2, L1 and L2, your analog sticks, and the square, circle, cross, and triangle buttons are black on the DualShock 4, where they're a little bit of just like a darker gray on the original. Same with the D-pad. But PlayStation did a really good job making this console design super close to that original controller design itself. Of course, there are design changes in the DualShock form over time that make the DualShock 4 different than this controller. However, I think Sony did a absolutely wonderful job kind of mimicking those controller styles. Now we're going to compare it to this lighter PlayStation controller. It's also a dual analog controller, and it's not what I think PlayStation was actually mimicking with this one. This is from the other, they did the two styles of PlayStation 1s. This was for the one that was a little bit wider of a console, a little bit curvier. But here you see this one is a lot lighter in color. However, this controller still mimics the design of both of these classic Sony DualShock or Sony controllers. And since I am a collector and I collect old consoles as well as new consoles, I was very thrilled to get a new controller that matches the old controllers. So as soon as I saw this in the glass case and realized that it was cleaner than mine, I knew that I probably shouldn't pass that up. Plus, it was my birthday and I was kind of in the mood to treat myself a little bit. So I'm sure you can figure that I was super pumped when I realized that it wasn't only a beautiful, hard to find PlayStation 4 console, it was also a beautiful, hard to find PlayStation DualShock 4 controller. I was thrilled. It was like my birthday dreams came true. And if you look at it and say you got a controller that goes for around $70 and a console that, let's say, goes for $200, that's still $270 for this bundle that I got for half that price. That is insane. So, like I said earlier, you still can get really awesome deals from places like GameStop, even in your local GameStop stores. Yeah, GameStop Online does have a larger selection. However, nothing beats walking into a local place and finding something awesome that you get to take home with you that day. That's exactly what I got to do. I know this video was a little bit different than usual, but I hope that you all enjoyed seeing that really awesome GameStop find. And let me know in the comments below if you like seeing these deep dives on cool finds. If you have gotten a really awesome find, please leave that in the comments below. Not only do I like to find awesome things to add to my collection, I like to find out that other people are finding awesome things to add to their collection, especially when someone gets a really awesome deal. So if you have gotten something recently, please leave that in the comments below and share the love of collecting with myself and others in this community. Please let me know if you would like to see more videos like this in the future, whether it's a deep dive on a specific console that has been picked up or just a specific piece of hardware, especially the special editions and collector's items. And if you got any enjoyment out of this video, or if you are also a collector of these systems, please give me a thumbs up, show some support, share the love, and subscribe so I can see you again here on Mel the Bombshell. With all of that out of the way, I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all again soon in the future. Bye!